Now back to Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has officially signed the student loan bill into law. The bill's enactment comes after the repeal and reenactment of the Student Loans Act 2023, following a campaign promise by President Tinubu. Initial delays led to a missed start date in January 2024. Now, during a brief signing ceremony at the presidential office at the Aso Rock Villa, President Tinubu reiterated the vital role of education in poverty alleviation and reaffirmed the government's commitment to ensuring that every citizen has access to quality education and opportunities for skills development.
I've just signed a bill proclaiming the student loan effectively. First of all, I must thank the members of the National Assembly for their expeditious handling of this bill, considering the children of Nigeria, that education is the tool to fight against poverty effectively. We are determined to ensure education is given the proper attention necessary for the country, including skill development programs. This is to ensure that no one, no matter how poor their background is excluded from quality education and opportunity to build their future.
Well, Dr. Aminu Isyaku is the National Liaison Officer Congress for Universities Academics, one of the newly approved university teachers' unions, and we now turn to him for his position on the presidential assent of the student loan bill and how effectively it can be implemented and sustained. Many thanks for joining us here on Newsday.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure, Dr. Isyaku. Now, some critics argue that this is not the move that the education sector needs, and that's when you take into consideration the high poverty levels and the potential for excessive debt burdens on students and their families. Do you see reason with this?
Yes, thank you very much. I think this is a good move in the right direction by the federal government led by President Bola Tinubu to, for the first time, actually focus on Nigerian students. And I want to start with congratulating Nigerian students on this significant achievement that has been long coming. And I think if this is not the right thing to do, then what else is the right thing to do in the middle of hardship in the country? This move by granting loans to students, Nigerian students, under the students' loan, access to higher education, repeal and reenactment bill 2024. I don't think something else is going to substitute this at this time. So we as Congress of University Academics gladly welcome this move by the federal government.
Right. Now, as we of course all commend this, they often say that the devil is in the detail. Implementation is a very big part of this. Now, in order for this to be effective, in your opinion, there's still some details that are still missing, but I'd love your input. For example, some concerns around eligibility. What class of students should be eligible? And amounts to be dispersed is another question that's still hanging, as well as some of the modalities of how those disbursements will be handled. What is your input with regards to some of these gray areas that we're still waiting for details on?
I think for us as a union, most of the gray areas have been addressed under this bill. Because I recall we vigorously defended this bill at the National Assembly when the House of Representatives called for a public hearing. And most of the areas that we have raised, including the eligibility requirements, has now been addressed under this reenacted bill. So it is now open for all categories of Nigerian students that are enrolled in tertiary education, including in polytechnics, in vocational training schools. So that is one aspect that we are very happy about. And also we are happy about the other eligibility requirements. Now is the issue of bringing in a guarantor has been removed. The issue of the loan itself bearing an interest has now been removed. So most of these things that we have fought for together with Nigerian students have actually been addressed, including the aspect that says the loan should not only be meant for tuition, because we as Nigerian university lecturers know that Nigerian students require a lot more than only tuition, because we teach them in the class and we know the difficulties that they are facing. All of us that have studied in Nigerian universities know the situation. In the 70s and 80s, we used to hear that a lot of welfare was in the system. They wash your clothes, they give you food in the hostels, and so on and so forth. When we studied, when we were in the universities, we didn't have any of those. I think the only thing that we had was that our accommodation was only 19 naira per annum in a room of 2. But before we could graduate in my set, that subsidy was removed under the President Obasanjo tenure, and then the accommodation rate jumped suddenly from 19 naira per annum per student to about 7,500. So you could see that many of these welfare issues that Nigerian students have been suffering from have now been addressed, because this particular student loan also involves maintenance fees. So you have tuition fee, you also have maintenance fee. So I think this is a welcome development, and I will gladly want to congratulate Mr. President for fulfilling his campaign promise. And also, I think the last time we were here to set the agenda for the Minister of Education. And I will also congratulate Professor Tahir Mamman for all the giant strides that he has been pushing, both for Nigerian university lecturers and also for Nigerian students.
All right, Dr. Isyaku, your opinion is noted and we appreciate it. But some experts believe that the focus should be on increasing government funding for public universities and improving the quality of education. When we look at Western examples like the United States, we look at the student loan program, where they even have to introduce debt forgiveness, because before the students even start out their lives after school, they're already in maybe $60,000 worth of debt. We have an analyst, Dr. Daishawale, who's an advocate for free education. So could this not have been factored in, as opposed to, giving this loan up front and setting the students up for potential debt if the repayment percentage is on the high side?
We really don't see that as the case. And we also believe that this is part of funding, bringing in more funding into the system. Because we as university lecturers and as a trade union, CONWA, we really are not too selfish that funding must only come to us in the system. Funding should also go to the students. Funding should go to everybody. So if students can have this as a loan, we believe it is part of big funds being injected into the system. And if you look at it, the student loan itself is a fallout of excessive strikes in the system. So if you could remember the last strike that took over 7 months, it was as a result of our agitation for registration and our agitation for no strikes in the system and a better way for negotiating with government. Part of this is government, in its own wisdom, sat down to really realize that let's also do something for Nigerian students to cushion the effect of their own hardship. And then the National Assembly brought this Students' Loan Bill 2023, which was accented to by Mr. President in June 2023. 2023 when he assumed office. So this is also part of funding. And if you say you want to compare Nigeria with other countries, we are not yet there. Even them, if they are on, even in Nigeria too, there used to be the Student Loan Board, but it's now defunct because of problems that time. And I think now most of the challenges that faced the previous scheme are now addressed under this one. And if you give students loan, it's not as if you are burdening them with repayment issues. For me, you are even encouraging them to do more in their universities, because if you are taking loans to finance your education, then you will do a lot better in your class.
Absolutely. Dr. Aminu Isyaku, your optimism is duly noted, and we do look forward to some positive returns from this program. Unfortunately, our time is fast spent, but thank you so much for your contribution, Dr. Aminu Isyaku.